Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're talking about high-stakes rooms. Courtrooms, parole board hearings, bank loan offices, those spaces where your future is really on the line and someone is making a consequential judgment about you. We're going to walk through exactly how to navigate these environments using genuine respect, careful preparation, and real accountability. So, here's our roadmap. We're looking at the high-stakes mindset, courtroom presentation and conduct, parole boards, financing your reentry plan, and navigating other formal occasions. Basically, we're taking the guesswork out of walking into these spaces and giving you grounded, practical strategies for each one. Now, before we go any further, I need to make one thing absolutely crystal clear. This is the baseline for everything we discussed today. This is general information. It is literally not legal advice. Your attorney or your public defender, their guidance always comes first. Always. If anything I say conflicts with them, you ignore me and you listen to your lawyer. Every single time. All right, let's get into it. First up, the high-stakes mindset, and focusing on what you can actually control. The foundational mindset here is just recognizing the reality of the situation. Someone in that room is forming a consequential judgment about you, and often they're doing it very quickly. You can't guarantee the outcome in these rooms, but you can absolutely control three things. Your preparation, which is honestly the real difference maker here, your presentation, like dressing conservatively to show you take the moment seriously, and your respect for the institution, the process, and every single person in that room. Okay, let's step into our first specific room, courtroom presentation and conduct. Courtrooms are intense, right? They're enclosed spaces governed by strict traditions, heavy architecture, and very specific rules. To navigate it respectfully, you really have to understand the space itself. Take the bar, for instance. It's a physical, or sometimes just imaginary, barrier that separates the active trial area from the gallery where the general public sits. Acknowledging these boundaries just shows you respect the space and the legal process. And then there's the well. This is absolutely critical. The well is that highly restricted open space right between the judge's bench and the counsel tables. Listen, never, ever walk into the well without explicit permission. Walking directly toward a judge across that space without being invited is seen as incredibly disrespectful, and honestly, it's considered a major safety issue. Just always let your attorney take the lead on your physical movements here. Now, I'm sure you've heard some of the courtroom folklore out there. People say things like, oh, wear light blue, it makes you look more innocent, or they bring up that highly contested, hungry judge study that claims rulings right before lunch are always worse. Look, let's be real here. You don't control the timing, and a shirt color isn't a magic trick. Forget the hacks. What you actually need to focus on is honest preparation, conservative dress, think formal church attire or a neutral suit, arriving early, and above all, following your attorney's guidance. Moving right along. Section 3. Parole boards and genuine accountability. This environment requires total sincerity and incredible care. And let me just repeat our golden rule right off the bat. Parole is entirely discretionary, and outcomes are never, ever guaranteed. I really want you to protect your self-worth here. A denial is not proof that you failed or did something wrong today. Things like the original offense are totally out of your control now. Always consult an attorney or legal advocate because, again, this is general info, not legal advice. So what's actually happening in a parole hearing? Well, parole is a form of early conditional release based on rehabilitation. The board isn't there to rejudge your original case. Instead, they are evaluating the person sitting in front of them today. They want to know, have you gained real insight? Have you actually changed? And are you truly prepared for life outside? This is where preparation is just absolutely everything. Putting together a rock-solid parole packet visually proves you have a realistic plan. We're talking a verifiable address, concrete evidence of change like completed program certificates, sincere letters of support, and a personal statement where you take full unmitigated responsibility. No minimizing, no excuses. These boards are incredibly experienced at spotting insincerity, so this really has to come from a true place. A plan built on genuine accountability and actual, realistic steps is always going to land better than vague promises to do better. And if you're proposing restitution to make amends for financial harm, insincerity will backfire big time. It's about real atonement for the people you harmed and for your own future. And, as always, run any specific financial restitution plans past your attorney first. All right, let's step into a totally different kind of room. Section 4, financing your reentry plan. Starting your own business is an amazingly viable and empowering path after coming home, but it usually means making a pretty big ask at a lender's office. If you have a record, you absolutely need to know about CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions. These are mission-driven lenders that actively provide credit to underserved markets, including entrepreneurs who've been previously incarcerated. They're an unbelievable resource for flexible underwriting, second chance lending, and even free mentoring for your business goals. When you sit down to ask for a small business loan, you're literally asking someone to trust you with financial risk. So, how do you build that trust? By being incredibly prepared and totally honest. Bring a clear, well-written business plan. Know your numbers inside and out, including exactly how you plan to pay them back. And if they ask about your record, just honestly disclose it. You can pivot right to highlighting your evidence of rehabilitation, your steady work, your certificates. Total honesty is how you actually win trust in that room. And finally, Section 5, Navigating Other Formal Occasions. Let's briefly look at daily life outside of these high-stakes rooms. The golden rule for any dressed-up moment is pretty simple. Match the formality of the room, and when in doubt, lean conservative and highly respectful. Funerals? Go dark, subdued, and understated. Religious services? Keep it modest and just follow the local customs. Weddings? Stick to the dress code and, for sure, never upstage the couple. For networking events, look polished and mirror the host's lead. Really, if you arrive early, dress conservatively, and take your cues from the people who clearly belong there, you'll be golden.
So that brings us to one final, essential question. How will your preparation reflect the person you are today? At the end of the day, the absolute most powerful thing you can bring into any of these high-stakes rooms isn't a clever hack. It's not some manipulated story, and it's definitely not just a perfect suit. It is the real, accountable, and fully prepared version of who you have become. Focus on that genuine growth, respect the process, lean heavily on your legal counsel, and you will have the tools to walk into any of these rooms with true dignity. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.